Demetrius Hunter has played in 4 games. Is he going to be available this week?
Yeah, he doesn't need a red shirt, right? So he redshirted last year, so he's not limited with the amount of games. Obviously, Jack being a sixth-year guy and team captain, and I thought Jack has played well throughout the course of the year. So there just hasn't been opportunities for Demetrius. Jack was in concussion protocol last week. Thought he could get out of it, but just at the end of the week wasn't feeling good enough, so they held him. And that's an opportunity for Demetrius. When we told him on Thursday that he would be the guy, then he was excited about it. And I thought for his first game of extended playing time, I thought he played well. So that gave us some hope for a young offensive lineman for what his future could be here.
What about the other guys on the OL that played more, especially at right tackle?
Yeah, Shamar, went in and played the second half. He did okay. And when Tyler went down, we put Max Baines in. So I was, happy for Max to be able to get some playing time on senior night. His career has been spotty and different, but for him to come back, after, being at Akron and graduating from Akron, to be able to come back, he was excited about the potential of doing senior night with his parents. Obviously, his dad played here, but in a Big 12 setting, he was excited about that. That was one of the reasons why he came here, and then he got in and got some snaps as well.
How would you grade Donovan through 11 games?
Good. Nothing's perfect. He's the heartbeat of what we are, and I think he's continuously getting better. You always got to be critical with critical errors, but, he had one critical error that kind of turned the game a little bit in the second quarter. But other than that, man, we rely on him to do a lot, so, year one in the system, year one at a new place. Very proud of him and just his resiliency. He's fighting through injuries. He's not complaining. He doesn't take days off, and he competes. So, I'm happy with where he's at, and I think he will continue to get better.
Where is his biggest need for improvement going into next year?
Well, there's a lot. Him with people around him. We can't just be this critical of the quarterback when other people need to step up and do better. It's the whole offense in general. Our production is not what it needs to be right now. Now, we're playing better teams. We all know that, which means it's harder. We all know that. But we're going to continuously get better. He's doing a really good job in the run game. He's doing a really good job of protecting the football. He's doing a good job of protecting himself, keeping plays alive, making throws. Just our drop back passing game. He wasn't real comfortable last week either, just because they had one of the best pass rushers in the country, number 30. He could do it. 2 weeks ago he was unsettled with Cincy's inside presence, and then last week 30 coming off the edge was a problem. And he handled it by getting out and getting some scrambles and stuff like that. But we got to do a better job of making him feel comfortable in the pocket and going through reads and doing a better job of moving the ball forward in the pass game.
Dana, if I could go back to the about the young guys and sort of like Pancake.
We don't call him Pancake anymore because I told him this in recruiting. This is a good little nugget story, but I told him this in recruiting. Obviously, that's his nickname, right? So in high school, you can kind of do that and get away with it. When Parker had that long run in the first quarter, he was in good position. He kind of threw the guy, and then if there's ever separation, you can't do that. And so he did that. And so he legally threw the guy down, and the guy was on the ground, and then he drove him, which is technically what you call a pancake. That's a penalty in college, and it was a good call. And so that's why we're not going to call you that anymore. You're going to go by Demetrius or D. because that's a penalty. That was a big play. I mean, that was a huge run by Parker. You can't do that, and he didn't do it the rest of the game.
So on guys like D or Demetrius, pre-portal used to be where, you'd recruit, you'd sign, you develop, you might add, guys JUCO or, guys that come in. But is it harder now to sort of figure out to next year, you got one game left, who you play where and how, because that may not be your roster. I mean, you may have a lot of portal guys that you bring in, or you have your high school. It's not so much got to get these guys work and experience for the following year because you don't know.
It's unlike anything I've ever dealt with in 32 years of coaching. And whether that's I like it, whether I don't like it, whether it's good for the game, bad for the game, it doesn't matter. It's just our current situation, and we need to learn how to deal with it. Player development, how important is that? I think it's always going to be important. It better be. But with roster turnovers, the way that they are, you're right. It's like, does it do us any good to play young guys as much as we need to play them? Does it do any good to redshirt them? I don't know, because they can transfer if they want to transfer them, and we'll start having those discussions next week. Next week's going to be a whole lot of discussions with guys on where they're currently at, and whether they want to be here or whether they want to go somewhere else, or I don't know what those conversations are going to be like. So I think it comes back to what I've said a couple of times to y'all. It's playing time is not given, it's earned. And so whoever on our team has got snaps has deserved snaps. Now that could change due to injuries like it did for Demetrius, but when we go out there and practice, and today's no different, when we get back out there today, and how this week of practice goes and how the productivity is in practice is going to determine on who's making the trip and who's playing in the game on Saturday.
Last you updated, Golden was going to have surgery. Did he have that?
He did last week on Wednesday.
And everything's...
he's going to be. I think it's like a 12-week rehab. So when we get back in spring, once we start getting into the off-season stuff in February and spring and March and April, then he should be good to go.
And going on the road to UCF 11 a.m., that kind of is a different sort of thing. Does that change how you approach the week or travel or anything?
It kind of fits because it's a road game. It kind of fits because it's Thanksgiving. It's my favorite week of the year. This is a quality opponent, good football team, playing good. What today will be normal. Tuesday will be normal. Wednesday will be normal. Even though there's no school on Wednesday, I want to keep a normal routine. Thursday morning, we'll get up here pretty early, and go from like 8 to 11, something like that, and then Thanksgiving dinner and stuff like that afterwards. And then Friday naturally is a little earlier based on the fact that we got to travel. Okay, so anytime we can play at noon, 11, based on time change on the road, I'm all for it. That's an advantage, I think, for the visiting team, based on the fact that you can get back and you're not getting back at 3 a.m. and stuff like that. Weather's going to be good. These guys have a good home field advantage. So we're going to be excited about going there and playing one final game here. Every game's important. Every game matters. Every game means something. I think we'll be excited about going and playing a good Central Florida team.
As a road team, is it better to play at 11 rather than sitting around until 7?
I do, personally, just because, just for get it over with and get home. I've always been that way, sitting around the hotel and then getting home back at 3 a.m. That, especially if you're playing the next week. Now, obviously, this one we're not, but nonetheless, it's all about business trips. And so your Friday's your Friday. You're going to get there. When you get there, you're going to go to sleep. And whenever you need to wake up and get going, you wake up and get going. And then you get back.
Dan, are you much for playing the spoiler role type with your players? Because they have a bowl that they could, they need a win for a bowl. Do you use that, or do you focus on you guys.
I don't know how that would give us any more motivation to win, honestly. I mean, this is a Big 12 conference matchup. Us in Central Florida are going through the same thing. I mean, it's all transition. It's hard every week. Okay, you look at their schedule. These guys compete. They battle. They've took some losses because they play good teams. And if that helps, being a spoiler, so to speak, then sure, we're always going to use whatever we can use from a motivational perspective to try to give you any kind of an advantage. But there's conference standings, and they've won a couple of conference games. We've won a couple of conference games. I mean, that matters. I mean, where you finish in the standings matters. And so, Cincinnati was out of their bowl thing, and they came here and they got after us, because it was important for them to go play a game. I expect us to do the same thing. It should be important for us to go finish. There's life lessons on how you finish. What kind of character you got. You gonna do your job and compete at a high level to be able to put yourself in position to win. That's finishing, and we need to finish the right way.
Offensively, they have a veteran quarterback, R.J. Harvey in the backfield, and then the two receivers. Can you just kind of address what they present challenge-wise offensively?
Yeah, offensively, they're as good as we've seen. Their talent is as good as we've seen. Their scheme is good. Their production is good. Coach Malzahn's been doing a great job for a long time. But Plumlee is very talented. He's a dual threat guy. He can throw it. He can run it. They're going to start with trying to get the run game going. I mean, they average 230 yards a game rushing. I mean, it's not a whole lot different than what we just saw. They're not going to just give the one guy. You got zero. Richardson gets in there and has capabilities. Both their quarterbacks. I mean, the McLean kid ran all over us when he was at South Florida a couple years ago. So they're good. They have three receivers that I think are outstanding. Baker, one transfer from Alabama. Hudson, two, the transfer from Auburn that we faced in the bowl game a couple years ago and scored on us. And then three, Townsend is a Tampa kid that we recruited that I thought was special. So collectively, this is as good of a receiver group as we've seen. One of the top offenses in the country, one of the top offenses in the Big 12. It's going to be a huge challenge. They've been scoring points, so it will be a challenge.
Looks like there's going to be some 5 and 7 teams that make bowls. Is that something you've thought about, talked about? Have any thoughts on?
I really haven't thought about it. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. We've never been in that situation. I've never had to explore that situation or deal with that. We're worried about playing the next one because it's a Big 12 game that matters. We'll worry about what happens next. December's there's going to be a lot on our plate in December. I can assure you that, with recruiting, with transfer portal, with staff, with players, and just trying to figure everything out.
When
I'm
you
sure to come to you.
On defense, let's start there. With Presley the other night, just wanted to go back. Was that? I mean, they went to him quite a bit. I mean, was that something that was it adjustments, or just didn't feel like you guys were able to handle that situation with him?
Yeah, they targeted him 19 times, and he caught 15 passes for almost 200 yards or something like that. I mean, the kid had a great game. I give him a lot of credit. There were going to be some one-on-one matchups. We knew that. They RPO the heck out of it. Thought Brian George covered and handled his one-on-ones well. Zay Hamilton got beat a couple of times. He's got to continue to work hard on making those plays. That's Zay, though. He's going to pick six you, and then he's going to give up a play. I was telling him throughout the course of the game, just hang in there, man. We need you. And then Presley on the inside with a lot of RPOs with slants and, out routes and stuff like that. That's what they did, and we knew we had to crowd the box. I mean, we got the top rusher in the country. He's still got 160 on us, 168. But we had to put that many people down in there, and that just puts people in in one-on-one situations, and we didn't win as much as we needed to. I do give the kid credit, man. He made some outstanding plays and some outstanding catches. He came up to me after the game and said, I wanted to shake your hand. You coach Tavon Austin. So obviously he was motivated to play like Tavon Austin was, I guess. He played his tail off, man. I mean, the production with him and Ollie Gordon was, I mean, you can't ignore it. Those two guys had a great game.
And I remember now on Sam Brown since the Baylor game with he nicked himself up. Is that still bothering him? Or
it is. You can see like that last play of the game. Donovan had to force it to him. And he got hit. He laid there for a minute. There's nothing surgical. There's nothing that's going to prevent him from playing. He has a sore shoulder, and when he gets hit, it hurts. So Sam's tough. He's going to push through it. Is it affecting his play? Yes, I think it's affecting his play. Donovan's got a sore shoulder. Is it affecting his play? Probably a little bit as well, but it's week 12, and everybody's got, some nicks and bruises and sores and all that stuff, and I appreciate those guys just fighting through it and wanting to continue to play.
You had mentioned after the game about conversations on the substitutions and stuff with the staff. Did anything come out of it in terms of what you wanted to hear and the message that you wanted to deliver?
Not that I wanted to hear. I mean, it's coaching error. I mean, we have certain coaches on the sidelines that are in charge of substitutions. If that doesn't get done correctly, then those are coaching errors, and those get evaluated. And it it was a critical mistake. That one was coaching. The critical error in the second quarter with taunting, it wasn't as egregious as I thought it was. Not what they made it sound like. But you can't stand over people. But it wasn't egregious. And I don't even know who it is on. So, but that's a critical error. You can't do that. I mean, you have them stopped. It's 4th and 16. You have to celebrate with your teammates. You can't give the refs any excuse to do anything that can hurt the team. That's a critical error. The substitution is a critical error. That kept our defense on the field twice that they got points on. If you want to play winning defense, those critical errors can't happen. But it did. And that's something that will get evaluated by me. Okay, thank you, guys.